Hey there, this is your pal Pally, and welcome back to Get a Raid. I'm taking a look at PTR fights for the upcoming Siege of Orgrimmar, and we'll be putting up as many raid guides as possible. As always with PTR testing, the bugs will be plentiful and tuning will be off, so keep that in mind. Also, gear scaling for Siege seems to be set at 520 for these first few encounters. First up is Fallen Protectors. This is a council style fight that ends when all three protectors are brought to 1 health. The trick is you have to bring them all there within 15 seconds or else they will regain 20% health. The fight definitely requires 2 tanks, and the group I did this with was 4 healing the fight on 10 man. My guess is either we were bad at dealing with the mechanics or some of the boss abilities will be nerfed down to make this 2 or 3 healable on 10 man. Along the way, each boss will also transition as 66 and 33% health and do some different things. Once you get done with that transition, the fight goes back to normal and you continue to deal with the bosses. I'll go through each boss in turn and describe both their normal abilities and their Desperate Measures transition phase abilities. Rook Stonetoe is a boss that needs tanked and faced away from the raid. He does a frontal cleave ability called Vengeful Strikes that hits pretty darn hard. Tanks and healers should be aware of just how hard it hits. He also tossed out Corrupted Brew as a missile-like projectile that targets a random raid member. The graphic is kind of hard to see on the ground, but I'm sure they'll change that for live. You can easily avoid the Corrupted Brew as it has a long air time. Lastly, he does a combination of Clash and Corruption Kick. Basically, he pulls someone to him and then starts spinning, doing a crap ton of damage to anyone caught within the spinning kick. The lesson here is get out quickly. Stonetoe's Desperate Measures phase is that he disappears and summons 3 adds called Embodied Gloom, Misery, and Sorrow. You have to kill all 3 before you can go back to DPSing Stonetoe. Gloom chucks out Corruption Shocks, which are basically bolts that hit people for 200k and anyone within 4 yards. It is interruptible. Misery must be tanked by the Stonetoe tank, and does a frontal cleave smash to the ground called Defiled Ground. Just don't stand in front of him and make sure he's tanked. Lastly, the Embodied Sorrow is the trickiest. He'll start a cast of Inferno Strike on whomever he has aggro on. That person will be marked with an arrow and have a red circle around them. When the cast finishes, that person will be hit with a 1.2 million damage hit split amongst the raid members within the red circle. Obviously, you need to stack up on that person to split the damage. I was assigned to DPS the Sorrow and keep aggro while the raid took care of the Gloom first. As you might have heard, that's the order we killed them in. Everyone but me on Gloom and interrupting him, then they moved on to Sorrow, and then killed the Misery. Ranged and heal stacked on me to soak up the Inferno Strike. Again, once you kill all 3 adds, Stonetoe comes back out and starts doing his normal abilities. Oh, and also note, during any Desperate Measures of the bosses, the other 2 bosses will continue to do their normal abilities, so keep that in mind as I go through the other 2 protectors. Next up is He Softfoot. He is a roguelike protector who does some stuns and puts out some bleeds. The stun he does is called Gouge, and it hits the tank he is currently focused on. Immediately after stunning the tank, he will fixate on a random raid member and go after them. He doesn't hit terribly hard at this point, but it's advisable to kite him until the tank can get out of the stun and taunt Softfoot back. It is possible for the tank to avoid this whole mess by turning his back to the boss right before Gouge goes out. If the tank does that, he'll only get bounced back a little bit and nothing else bad will happen. His other major ability during the encounter is called Groped. It is a bleed that he puts on a random raid member. It hits decently hard and can be dispelled. It seemed like it was coming out pretty quickly, so it is likely to be nerfed. Also note that all of the bleeds out there will be cleared when he goes into his Desperate Measures. Speaking of his Desperate Measures, this one seems somewhat broken on PTR. Softfoot spawns an ad called Mark of Anguish, and roots and fixates on a random raid member. That raid member gets an extra action button and can pass the fixation on to someone else. According to the Dungeon Journal, the ad is supposed to do a decent amount of damage and then apply a stack of Lingering Anguish to the whole raid, which increases damage taken from the mark. We found just giving the mark to the tank and letting him eat a bunch of the stacks seemed to work just fine. the tank never got hit very hard. I'd imagine this mechanic working properly would probably entail kiting the ad and tossing the mark on to different people of the raid to kite. Moving on to the last boss, Tenderheart the Priestess. She doesn't need to be tanked and casts a number of spells onto the raid. Her main spell is called Shah Seer. It will do a decent amount of damage like a priest's Mind Seer and radiate that damage from the person. Just stay spread out for heals and ranged. It is interruptible, but it seemed bugged because it never got spell locked and she just kept casting it. The other spell that she puts out is Shadow Word Bane. This is a dispellable dot that ticks pretty hard and will spread. Healers will need to keep on top of dispelling it if they can. Lastly, she will periodically cast Calamity, which takes 30% off everyone's health in the raid. Tenderheart's Desperate Measures is one of the roughest. She will form a bubble that reduces the damage taken by the raid by 35%. After that, she'll cast some pulsing raid-wide shadow damage. Then, she spawns some ads that come. The goal is to kill off the sets of ads while being stacked up to reduce the damage going out. Raid CDs are probably recommended here. The ad sets will share a health pool, so do what you can to cleave them down quickly. Strategy-wise, we tried doing the Priestess first, but we're having trouble dealing with her Desperate Measures phase, so we went with Rockfoot first. His transition was easier to wrap our heads around, and once we got some momentum there, the other ones seemed to fall in place. We did Softfoot after that, as it seemed to be a healer-friendly phase for some regen, and then went up against the Priestess. After that, we started to whittle down the boss's health down evenly, but lag and other factors seemed to get into our way, and we wiped around 6% on our best attempt. I'd say the best time for Lust or Heroism is in this last phase when you bring down the bosses. I've also heard that timing the actual kill takes some finesse, as you must ensure that they all die within 15 seconds. We didn't get to see that part, but I'd imagine you want to just closely monitor the boss's health and split your DPS accordingly. This last phase becomes more and more hectic as the Calamity and other abilities stack up on your raid. I'd even go so far as to say you might want to adjust strategy a bit to, before the last Desperate Measures, putting the other two bosses down low in health with some cleave or multi-dotting. We'll see what guilds come up with when dealing with this mechanic. Again, this was just the first boss in the PTR testing, and there were many bugs, as I've noted along the way. But overall, it seemed a pretty straightforward fight to deal with. I was in an entirely pug group, so it wasn't the most efficient or clean pools, but I hope you've seen most of the mechanics you have to deal with. The Rogue Protector does some poison pools and some other things, but this is basically the meat of the encounter. Figure out your kill order, don't stand in the bad stuff, and bring the bosses down evenly, and you win! Thanks for watching, and please comment, like, and or subscribe to the video if you found it helpful, and have a good one!